first about Justin to TMZ, saying that he had inappropriately asked her trainer about her weight because he had a bad back, and there was a scene where he had to lift her up. And she was postpartum, so she was very offended by this. Now, Baldoni was a director of the movie, one of the directors on the movie, and he obviously, therefore, wanted the movie to be a success. And the studio company also, therefore, wanted it to be a success. And they're seeing these articles leak, and they made a move to hire a crisis management team.
Justin Baldoni has finally spoken out against Blake Lively, accusing her of trying to ruin his reputation with sneaky lies and baseless accusations. He warned that if she kept pushing this agenda, things wouldn't end well for her. Justin made it clear that he values his honor and won't let anyone, even a big Hollywood star like Blake, play games that could destroy an innocent man's career. But some people find it strange that Blake is calling herself a Me Too victim in this case, especially since the facts she presented in court don't seem to match her claims. Justin also revealed that he has been under intense emotional stress for the past year due to filming and production issues related to It Ends With Us. According to him, Blake deliberately tried to damage his career by accusing him of creating an unsafe environment on set. He believes she was hoping that Hollywood would automatically take her side just because she's a major star. Now some critics are labeling Blake a bully and a bossy diva. They say she assumed Justin would back down the moment she started pressuring him. At one point, she even sued him for $250 million, thinking it would silence him and make her look like the helpless victim. But that turned out to be a huge mistake, because Justin fought back with a $400 million lawsuit of his own, flipping the entire situation and putting her on the defensive. Then came another shocking twist. Justin also filed a lawsuit against Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband. He claimed that both Ryan and Blake had defamed him and tried to force him into an unfair deal. As the drama unfolded, Hollywood insiders started questioning Blake's version of events. Even the media, which had initially supported her, began noticing cracks in her story. Audiences, too, grew suspicious of her true intentions. Then, during a 90-minute court hearing, Blake's legal team struggled to hold their ground. The judge dismissed several of her motions and even denied her request for a gag order.
Asking for the gag order and explaining how he's talking too much, he's threatening to post stuff on public sites. So what I think is, this looks good for Baldoni, right? He's like, we want to make it all public. And sometimes lawyers can do this knowing that they can't actually do what they say they're going to do.
Blake's lawyers looked completely unprepared, almost as if they never expected Justin to come forward with so much solid proof. They tried to argue that Justin had made Blake uncomfortable on set, but Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, shut that down fast. He presented text messages and emails showing that Blake had been friendly with Justin for a long time. Not only that, but Friedman also pointed out that Blake often invited Justin to her trailer and even joked around with him during filming. That completely contradicted her claim that she felt threatened by him. People couldn't help but wonder, how could someone be so warm and friendly in private messages, then suddenly act terrified in court? It started looking like Blake might have stretched the truth, or maybe even made parts of it up. But that wasn't the only shocking revelation. This legal battle also exposed details about how Blake reportedly took over It Ends With Us. Justin had spent years developing the project, pouring his heart into it. But when Blake came on board, sources say she demanded script changes and insisted on having the final say in editing. Some even claim she pushed Justin out of his own movie premiere, not allowing him to fully take part. Instead of focusing on the film's important message about domestic abuse, many believe she was more interested in promoting her own brand. As more details emerged, social media exploded. Many users started comparing Blake's situation to other high-profile cases where actresses made accusations that didn't hold up. And in today's world, the internet loves receipts. Text messages, emails, anything that can prove what really happened. Justin reportedly included 179 pages of evidence in his countersuit, highlighting the inconsistencies in Blake's story. Then, just when things couldn't get messier, Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, added fuel to the fire by joking about the lawsuit on Saturday Night Live. Fans were stunned. If his wife had truly been mistreated, why would he make fun of such a serious situation? That joke didn't just create more controversy, it also raised concerns for the brands tied to Ryan, like Aviation Gin and Mint Mobile. Some companies even began wondering if associating with him could damage their image, with his net worth. Closely linked to these businesses, bad press could hit his finances hard too. Meanwhile, public opinion started shifting against Blake. The hashtag #CancelBlakeLively began trending, with many fans saying they would be skipping her future movies.
In Blake's first amended complaint, Blake changed what she alleges about what happened while filming the slow dance scene, now that the footage has been released for everyone to see. So what they're saying is, now that, Justin Baldoni shared the truth of what it looks like, they're no longer making the same claims. Previously, they said Miss Lively was filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Of course, Justin proved there was sound. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself.
At first, Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, was thrilled that Blake Lively was starring in the film. But then, out of nowhere, Colleen removed all mentions of Blake from her social media. That sent a clear message. Something had changed. Fans saw this as a sign that even Blake's supporters were distancing themselves, most likely because of all the bad press, and that wasn't the only red flag. People started asking, where were Blake's Hollywood friends? None of her famous co-stars spoke up for her. Even her former Gossip Girl castmates, who had worked with her for 6 years, stayed completely silent. The lack of support made it seem like the industry was turning its back on Blake, viewing her as too risky to defend. As this courtroom battle drags on, fans who once admired Blake are now in shock. They remember how polished and charming she always seemed in interviews, yet now they're seeing a completely different side of her. Some wonder if the power she held in Hollywood made her feel untouchable, like she could do whatever she wanted without ever facing consequences. For years, she was part of elite circles, attending glamorous galas and major award shows. But as this legal fight continues, people are starting to question whether that perfect image was just a carefully crafted illusion. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni has spoken out, saying he never planned to take these conflicts public. According to him, it was Blake's actions that forced him to defend himself. His supporters believe that his calm demeanor and mountain of evidence prove he's serious about clearing his name. Many say that Justin only filed the countersuit to ensure the court heard both sides of the story, instead of just listening to Blake's accusations. On social media, people are even calling him brave for standing up to a powerful actress and her famous husband. At the same time, rumors are swirling about what this means for It Ends With Us. Some wonder if the movie can still be released without massive public backlash. Others question whether its message about domestic abuse has now been completely overshadowed by the real-life drama between the film's leading actress and the man who originally brought the project to life.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But he is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history. Everything he says is self-flagellating over the fact that he's a man, but he's, to me, is sort of the embodiment of what happens when you totally emasculate a man. And then she continued, she took that stiletto and stuck it in his heart when he was down there self-flagellating, being so sorry for anything having to do with his testosterone.
Hollywood insiders believe the studio might try to distance itself from the lawsuit entirely, but that's easier said than done. The case has drawn too much attention, and no matter what happens, it's going to leave an impact. If Blake stays attached to the film, it could drive away audiences who now see her in a negative light. But if the studio drops her, that could open the door to even more legal complications. Meanwhile, questions are also swirling around Ryan Reynolds' future in Hollywood. For years, producers have loved working with him because of his humor and easygoing personality. But now some insiders believe he made a huge mistake by turning the lawsuit into a joke on national television. They say it showed a lack of empathy, because if Blake was truly harmed, why would he treat it like comedy? Others argue that Ryan secretly doubts Blake's story and was trying to protect his own reputation by making it seem like no big deal. Whatever. His reason? The public isn't buying it. Fans who once adored Blake and Ryan are now calling them out on social media. The couple once seemed like Hollywood's most perfect pair, but now that picture is starting to crack. Some people point out that celebrity relationships often look flawless on camera, but can be messy behind the scenes. They compare Blake and Ryan's situation to other famous couples who tried to keep major drama under wraps, only for the truth to explode later with devastating consequences. But at the same time, not everyone is siding with Justin Baldoni either. Some of his critics are questioning his motives, arguing that no one in Hollywood is truly innocent. They wonder if he might be using the scandal to keep the spotlight on himself or even boost his career. However, the biggest difference so far is that Justin has provided evidence, including text messages, emails, and other documents, that seem to support his version of events. And for many observers, that's what makes his story more believable. With Orion, the trial date approaching, tensions are rising and the world is waiting to see how it all plays out.
And I think that the Justin and Blake stuff is, I think it's a big PR game, and I think that we're all the pawns of it. And also that story I gave you, that's one where I've talked to them. I feel comfortable sharing that much. Like, good luck. There's so many different groups out there.
People are wondering, will more shocking secrets come out in court? Will Blake's team bring any real evidence to back up her claims? And what about Ryan? Will he step up to defend her, or will he quietly distance himself to protect his own career? Every week, tabloids and gossip channels fuel speculation about what's next. Some reports suggest that Ryan's close friends are advising him to step away from Blake, at least for now. Others say he's working behind the scenes to fix the situation before it damages his own brand deals. Meanwhile, fans can't help but ask, why would Blake take such a huge risk if her claims were false or exaggerated? If she really did make things up, what was her goal? Some believe she wanted more control over the film, while others think she was pushing for certain creative rights. Maybe she saw Justin as an obstacle. But if her plan was to paint herself as a victim while Justin stayed silent, it has clearly backfired in a big way. Yes, the public loves Hollywood drama, but it also demands proof. And once hard evidence starts exposing dishonesty, it becomes nearly impossible to recover. This scandal has also sparked a bigger debate about how Hollywood treats its biggest stars. For years, studios catered to A-listers, believing their fame alone could guarantee huge box office sales. But thanks to social media, fans are now more aware of what happens behind the scenes. A single scandal can destroy an actor's reputation, no matter how many hit movies they've been in. And right now, it seems like Blake and Ryan's star power might not be enough to save them from the backlash if the public continues siding with Justin. Another huge concern? Brand partnerships. Companies that once lined up to work with Blake and Ryan are now weighing the risks. If fans boycott and buy anything linked to Blake, that could include products she promotes or even brands Ryan is tied to. And in the corporate world, brands hate controversy, especially when it threatens their bottom line. Some industry insiders believe it's only a matter of time before companies quietly cut ties with Blake or stop featuring her in advertisements. After all, a heated defamation lawsuit is a huge liability, and most brands would rather walk away than take the risk. This keeps the intensity high and makes it engaging for listeners.
This person who wrote to me said that they worked on the set of It Ends With Us, okay? And that the villain in this entire story is not Blake Lively, it's not Justin Baldoni, but it is Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan started the fire!
Allegedly. Don't gag order or sue me, Ryan Reynolds, okay? I don't want to be involved in your drama. I'm just telling my audience what I was told. He goes into Blake Lively's trailer and they have an argument, and all of the production assistants overheard the argument.
Sources close to Blake and Ryan say they're desperately trying to hold everything together, not just for their careers, but for the sake of their family. They have children, and the fear is that this massive scandal could affect their personal lives in ways they never saw coming. Their supporters argue that the backlash has been unfair, believing the real truth will come out in court. They say the public has been too quick to judge. But in an era of social media and instant news, public opinion forms fast, and once people make up their minds, it's nearly impossible to change them. Meanwhile, Blake's critics see this as the downfall of someone who took her power for granted. They believe she was used to getting her way, assuming everyone would take her side, but this time she went up against someone who refused to back down. And now, her entire plan is unraveling. Some say this should be a lesson to others in the wine industry. You can't make accusations without solid proof, especially when the other person is ready to fight back. And Justin's $400 million countersuit is no joke. For Blake and Ryan, the financial stakes are massive. Blake's net worth is estimated at $50 million, while Ryan's sits around $350 million. But here's the catch. Most of Ryan's money is tied up in investments, meaning he doesn't have that kind of cash readily available if Blake loses big in court. That's why Hollywood insiders believe Ryan might be considering his options. If Blake can't pull through this legal fight, he may start distancing himself. Because in Hollywood, self-preservation often matters more than loyalty. People can't help but compare this to the Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp case. After losing in court, Amber's career took a massive hit. She struggled to land roles and faced huge backlash. If Blake's lawsuit falls apart, she could face the same fate, labeled a liar, with Hollywood turning its back on her, making it nearly impossible to book future projects. As the court battle looms, one thing is clear: Blake Lively's reputation is on the line, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
Justin Baldoni's attorneys got back regarding that filing, and they basically called them out, as they always do. And I'm going to show you what they said. They said, given how actively the Lively parties have publicized and litigated Ms. Lively's claims in the media, we are surprised to now learn how vehemently she wants to prevent the public from accessing material and relevant evidence.
Blake just suffered another major blow. The judge refused to place limits on what Justin's lawyer can reveal. This means Fredman now has the green light to share even more texts, emails, and facts that might prove Blake's story doesn't align with what she actually said and did. In the short term, this means more bad press. In the long run, it could completely destroy her public image. Fans have also noticed something important. Nobody from Hollywood is stepping up to defend Blake's version of events. Normally, if there were real mistreatment, at least one person from the cast or crew would come forward. Instead, it looks like Justin is the one with more evidence and more people backing him. Meanwhile, social media has been roasting Ryan Reynolds for joking about the lawsuit. Many called it cringe, saying he should know better than to treat a serious legal battle like a comedy skit. For someone whose career depends on his likability, this might have been a big mistake. At the same time, rumors are swirling that Blake tried to control every aspect of filming, focusing more on promoting her own products than the actual story's themes. If she loses the case or ends up owing a massive sum, her career could take a huge hit. Even if Ryan steps in to help, the negative press could make studios think twice before working with her. This is the exact opposite of what she likely expected. She may have thought that her fame and Ryan's influence would protect her, but Justin has proven that he's not afraid to fight back, armed with a huge collection of texts and emails. Some of those early messages even show Blake being friendly with Justin, joking around and inviting him to hang out, which directly contradicts her claim that he made her feel unsafe. The internet wasted no time calling out the contradiction, saying it's a huge red flag that she might not be telling the whole truth.
Dear Judge Lyman, as counsel for Wayfarer Studios LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, It Ends With Us Movie LLC, Melissa Nathan, the Agency Group PR LLC, and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties, we write to advise the court of an issue that the Wayfarer parties wish to address at the upcoming conference on Monday, February 3rd, 2025.
Blake Lively's public image has taken a serious hit. Once admired, she's now facing growing distrust as people start questioning her motives. Did she try to push Justin out of his own project just to take full control? Did she paint him as the villain to make herself look more sympathetic? The more people analyze the facts, the more holes they find in her story. Even the judge has stepped in, warning both sides that if they keep arguing in the media, the trial could be moved up sooner than expected. If Blake's team can't negotiate a settlement, she could be facing a jury or a final verdict much faster than she wants, which would bring even more public scrutiny. For Justin Baldoni's supporters, this is looking like a major win. They've always seen him as a positive figure from his work in TV and directing, and many were shocked to see him caught up in such an ugly battle with a Hollywood A-lister like Blake. But now he's fighting back, hard. Suing her for a massive sum proves that he refuses to be pushed around. And if Justin wins, Blake might lose almost everything. Not just her reputation, but her career, her finances, and maybe even Ryan's businesses. Hollywood is brutal when it comes to stars caught in lies, and if she's found to have fabricated parts of her claims, studios might drop her in favor of someone safer. Meanwhile, social media is buzzing. Fans are digging up old interviews and behind-the-scenes clips to see if Blake ever looked uncomfortable around Justin, or if she was, in fact, completely fine with him. On TikTok and Twitter, daily posts compare her courtroom statements with Fredman's evidence, and the contradictions are piling up fast. And the worst part for Blake? Not a single major friend or Hollywood co-star is coming to defend her.
Told us that Justin Baldoni claims she tried to take over his movie because she has a history of saying, okay, I'll be the star, but what I secretly want to do is direct it and edit it and produce it. I want all the roles for me and only me. I want full control because I am a controlling bully. That Justin Baldoni, ultimately, by the time they got to the premiere, was mandated by Blake Lively to spend the night in the basement away from his co-stars and didn't even get to see the final cut of his own movie because Blake Lively insisted that she be the one to approve it.
Even the major newspapers that once supported Blake are now quietly backing away from her story. Many believe that if she really had a strong case, Ryan Reynolds wouldn't be making jokes, and Hollywood stars would be rallying behind her. Instead, they're staying silent, a sign that no one wants to be linked to a scandal that could blow up even further. The whole situation is drawing more parallels to the Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp case, where public support for Amber vanished once. The evidence didn't match her claims. While Blake's reputation is crumbling, Justin Baldoni might walk away as the real winner. He's showing the world that he won't back down against what he believes are false accusations. If the court sides with him, his reputation could actually skyrocket, not just as an actor or producer, but as someone who stood up for the truth in the face of Hollywood power plays. In the end, Blake's decision to paint Justin as the villain might cost her everything. She stepped into this lawsuit thinking she would be seen as a brave victim, but now she's at risk of losing hundreds of millions of dollars, along with her entire career. Many believe Blake's overconfidence led her here, that she thought her fame and Ryan's influence would protect her from any fallout. But the truth is, courts don't always favor celebrities, especially when there's solid evidence that tells a different story. As the next court date approaches, things could get even worse for Blake. Brian Friedman is rumored to have more texts and emails that might show just how friendly Blake was with Justin behind the scenes, completely contradicting her claims. If that proof is as strong as people say, Blake might run out of ways to defend herself. The biggest question now is, can Blake Lively ever recover from a legal disaster this massive? This wraps up the whole story with suspense and leaves listeners hooked till the end. Let me know if you'd like me to connect all parts into one script or add any extra spice to it.